All right. Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. We're taking a look at NQ following the 3-day weekend. Got a slight gap lower here Thursday. NQ made fresh all time highs. Now we've got a very, very slight pullback. So the focus for this morning, what I'd like to see is how is price going to be responding to the 22,900 level of interest right through here, and whether that structure point is going to end up holding as support. We do see that price potentially developing a near-term range here. If we see a failure to hold 900, I'd be looking at last week's volume point of control right in this 830 area to trade, and then if there's a failure there, potentially back down into the near-term range low at 22,600. It's all going to be contingent on how price responds to 22,900. So that is the main focus for this morning. That is where we see the overnight low as well. If we take a look at that 1 minute chart, you can see that overnight low right there, 908. Prior day close, that's going to be looking at Friday's half session. Also right there at 906. Nothing on the economic calendar for today, so it definitely could be a slower session. Past few weeks have been relatively slow. Pretty typical summer trading, what we've been seeing recently. And so for today, we want to be keeping an eye on volume, making sure that we have a decent audience. Staying patient, as always, looking for that A plus opportunity. Not coming out of the gate as a gunslinger because we have missed trading for the past 3 days. I know that one. I know that one pretty well. Been there before. So let's see. Let's see what we end up getting here. ES. Let's jump over to ES really quick. Bump it into VWAP right there. Let's take a look at the structure. Kind of in no man's land here. So I'd like to see 6270 on ES and or the 6330. That's the all-time high there. Got about 2 minutes till the open. So this 15-minute bar closes here into the open. 90 seconds. 90 seconds till the bell. Do a prior day high right through here, 945. I'm not going to be leaning on that as a reference point because I believe the indicator here is going to be looking at Friday's high, Friday's half session. Yeah, it is right through there. So for prior day high and prior day low, we'd want to be looking at Thursday's session. Personally, anyway. Keep in mind there is an unfilled gap here down beneath 930, down beneath that 900 area. See this open, few seconds here. Alrighty, there's the open right near Thursday's low. NQ into VWAP. Nice push there. Nice push right off the open. Good follow through on that 15-minute closure we had mentioned a few minutes ago. Starting the morning off with some pretty good volume here. NQ right back into that session volume point of control, 940. Looks like ES making a session low there. NQ session low. This is where it'll get a little more interesting down into that overnight low 900 area. It's that main focus level. There's your overnight low. Or that gap here. Mind the gap. You got ES into VWAP. Good volume this morning. So we'll see if the overnight low holds here. There's that line in the sand we mentioned beneath 900. Most likely going to be looking at last week's volume point of control down into that 830 area. Take a look at that intraday fib here. Let's see where we're at. I got the extension on there. Let's see. There we are. Just shy of the 50. 50's at 38. Volume starting to fall off. Back in a session volume point of control. And where's VWAP? VWAP is 56-ish. Yeah, 56. That is the 61% fib right there as well for the intraday move. ES held VWAP pretty nicely. Then we get back in overnight low, back into that 900 area. Right back in there. Little retest of that intraday structure point. Looks like just whipsaw on the 1 minute. Little break of that structure point and coming into VWAP. Decent little bounce there. Decent little higher low. Little re-entry spot if you miss the initial overnight low spring setup. Buyers will be looking for a break of VWAP here and into a session high. So far, a couple of decent opportunities actually. Good spot to race the trail right there, just beneath 40. See if we get that next leg here into the session high. Not bad. Went for the reversal, the spring setup versus the overnight low. Got trailed out of that one after scaling out a sum. Just better than break even, and then had to re-enter. Probably should have just held that first trade, but that's how I like to manage my plays. So it is what it is. We got the trail just beneath 40 here on the remainder. We'll take it. We'll take that. 2 for 2 on the morning. If you're with us from the start, we talked about the main focus being the reaction versus 22,900 this morning. Get the undercut of the overnight low spring setup right there. and then you get the higher low right near that 900. So that's how we do it. That is how we do it. There's the trail. Back to cash. Back to cash right there. 2 for 2. Now, if we have another test of 900, I'll probably pass on that personally to see how it actually unfolds. But so far, NQ unable to make fresh highs. Nice work, Dom. Nicely done, sir. Staying patient now. About 15 minutes into the sesh. Buyer's trying to form another higher low here. That's not my trade, so just letting the intraday structure build out. Give us some more clarity. Let's take a look at our 5-minute. Price still within the opening 5-minute bar. We have yet to leave the opening 5-minute bar here. What's up, Ray? Good to see you, man. Welcome back, sir. Dom's back in that next higher low. Animal. Market structure enjoyer. NQ back into VWAP here. Very tight range in play. Hit it until proven wrong. Yeah, that's understandable. I hear you. I hear you. ES bouncing versus VWAP again. All right, NQ buyers looking for that session high. Which is a tight intraday range so far on average to below average volume. Here we go into the session highs. See if we get a new high of day. See if we get that fresh high here. Just shy now. What's the high? 75? Yeah, 75.75 on NQ. There you go, new high of day. NQ. And ES new high of day as well. Still just 2 for 2 on my end. No re-entry. About 6 minutes till 10 a.m. And so far, that new high of day is just an up thrust. Up thrusty. Is that the range for today? 900 by 975? Is that it? And 4 minutes till 10 a.m. No data. No data at 10 a.m. this morning. Yeah, nicely done, Dom. Nicole got the ESV WAP. Nice. That was a big bounce there. With the 6,300 psychological level there as well on ES. Yeah, we'll see what 10 a.m. has in store. As of right now, NQ just a fairly tight intraday range, 75 points. Session volume point of control right here at 943. I think that's including Friday's half day though. Let's see. Yeah, it is. Wish TradingView would update that. Let's see the RTH. RTH shows volume point of control at 950. So Thursday's low, holding on decently well. Nice bounce on Russell as well, RTY. I like that third higher low you were in, Dom. Now that I see Thursday's low right there. Looks better. 930. 930 level. A little reference point. All right, 10 a.m., 30 seconds, no data. Opening 30-minute bar. Green, but pretty much shaped like a doji there. There's 10 a.m. for you. RTY making fresh highs. Let's take a look at the old Russell. Look at that little spring at the overnight low, marks the low. Got ES coming back into that 6,300 VWAP area. Failure to sustain the session high. Very similar intraday structure in NQ as well. Is that the range for today? Is that it? See how 900 is going to be treated again there on NASDAQ. NQ. This will be what, the fourth test down into that area? ES, new low of day. NQ getting there. NQ just shy of the low of day there. Like 1 or 2 ticks. We'll see if that 800, 830 area is going to end up trading. Okay, 900 holds again. No position personally. Good volume though. NQ has yet to spend any time outside of that opening 5-minute bar. 30 minutes into the sesh. Yeah, it looks like that's the range for today, at least for this morning. 900 by 975, 15-minute. You got back-to-back dojis there. 30-minute shows a doji. You got Russell, new high of day. RTY. All right, Dom, take care, man. Nicely done. Good start to the week. RTY coming into overnight high if you trade Russell. So we have a pretty well-defined intraday range here, 975 by 900. As always, any range. Best opportunities are typically going to be near the edge points of that range. Personally, I'd like to see a break of this structure. I'd like to see either 830, 800 trade or up above 975. The push for that overnight high. And cue a little consolidation here near session volume point of control. All right, quick poll in the chat. Let me know how you're morning is going. How's that Monday looking? How we doing? NQ volume well below average here. Well below average. First clue. Now we may need to shut it down early. Currently 2 for 2 on the morning. Pretty light, but low expectations headed into today. Let's see, we got 55% green, 36% flat, 9% red. Not bad. Not bad. RTY, nice up thrust at the overnight high. That's a solid up thrust there. Got ES just sitting on the session low. I would keep an eye on that 6,300 area. Psychological level, NQ, intraday structure, pretty much identical to ES. In the middle of today's range, this tight intraday range. Not much to do here for the most part. Staying patient. So NQ, that most recent bounce from 900 did not retest this upper intraday range area. It's notable. Definitely notable. Remember, if that 900 fails, most likely going to see a test into last week's volume point of control, 830, 800 area. And I believe, is that the gap fill spot? Yeah, just about. So the Wednesday to Thursday gap right through there as well. Meanwhile, ES making a new low of day. New low of day over on ES. NQ getting back into the lows here. See if NQ gives that new low of day. No new low of day, at least not yet. Buyers right back in that thing. We are 45 minutes into today's session with no decisive action outside of that opening 5-minute bar. What does that tell you? Choppy? Choppy, choppy? Probably give it like 10 to 15 more minutes. See if we get a break of the intraday structure. Otherwise, we'll call it there. Call it a morning. Session volume point of control steps a little lower there. 930. Steps about 10 points lower. Yeah, RTH shows the same right here near Thursday's low. High concentration of volume right through there. I like to see how this next 30-minute bar closes. Shaped a bit more like a hammer here. Still has 8.5 minutes. Tom, daily goal from that last test of 900. Nicely done, man. Yeah, it's pretty choppy here. Don't overdo it. Definitely do not overdo it. This is your typical post 3-day weekend Monday with nothing on the economic calendar in the middle of summer. Tom, 5 green days secured. Nicely done. Take that payout. Let's go. Payday. NQ getting back into VWAP here. It's a better, stronger bounce from 900. Buyers will be targeting session high. VWAP not going to be super relevant today, given the intraday structure. Right now, mostly focus on this 30-minute closure. See if it ends up being a hammer or not. Hammer versus support. May give some clues for later in the morning. Check out RTY, that up thrust and RTY. That's what you like to see right there. Getting back into VWAP now. So earlier we had mentioned this bounce right through here. Buyers failed to show any sort of follow through. When price rolled over and then again fails to make a new low of day, just shows the strength of this level, strength of 900. Now we actually see the follow through. Intraday range remains in play. Looks like that 30-minute will close as a hammer. Still have 3.5 minutes here. 15-minute is through that prior bar high as well. 5-minute RTH really shows the context for today. All right, there's that next 30-minute candle closure. Not the hammer that we were looking at a few minutes ago. That's for sure. Another doji. Intraday range remains in play. I'm going to go ahead and call it right there. 2 for 2 on the morning. NQ 22,900 stays on watch. It's pretty choppy though. Don't really want to overdo it in these conditions. Mostly interested in, like I mentioned a few times now, mostly interested in a break of this intraday range. I like to see price kind of leave this opening 5-minute bar. If we break lower, I'll be looking at the 830, 800 area. Price breaks higher in alignment with the backdrop Be looking to see how that overnight high is respected. Hope you guys had a good morning. We'll keep it going in the Traders Think Tank here. If there's any other action, notable action. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day, folks.